click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 108. And we're delighted to be joined by a father-son combo today with Mark and Max Smith-Halvorsen. How are we both doing, lads?
Very good.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks for thinking of us.
There you
Pleasure.
I'll tell you what, let's go straight in. Max is generally really nervous about this, so I think it's we've got a big job in my hand to just calm down the situation. Yeah. So why are you so nervous? Let's just tear down some walls.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just because I listened to it every day on the way to work, and then I came back 2 days ago, and you said, "Oh, I've been speaking to Chrissy, and he said about me going onto the podcast," and I said we, and I thought, well, what do you mean us or like you? And he was like, no, like me and you. And I said, well, they only have quite important people on there, like, people like.
Which is why I was so.
Yeah, and he went, well, yeah, that's why I'm on there. And I was like, yeah, but I'm coming along too. So no, yeah, I am a bit nervous.
Well, good man, keeps you on your toes.
As you know from the podcast, we try and get like sort of all angles of the sport, and it's quite a quite a niche thing. Like obviously with your history, and then the fact that you're coming racing this year with Nick and Mac, the other Max, in a very similar position, and we're just chatting before the podcast started. We're up at Croft for the No Limits meeting, and we're just talking about sort of those family connections. And it's funny because Dom's dad's been out today as well, so that's like another family connection. And how was that for you? Because it's been a long while since the crash, hasn't it?
I was about to say, because I was actually briefly telling the lads here. Basically, it was 2019, wasn't it? Classic TT. My dad, unfortunately, his bike malfunctioned, and by malfunction I mean it shit itself. So he was slipping in. Now the left before the veranda. I keep getting the name of the corner wrong. Anyway, so it's that famous turn where Connor Cummins decides to become hand glider for 2 seconds. My dad's gone in. Unfortunately, he tried to go through the mountain, made an absolute mess of his right femur. It was in 3 different bits, nearly lost his leg, everything like that. But bearing in mind he's 60, he would hate me for saying that on air, he really would.
But you have.
I have, just slide it in there.
Yeah.
You'll give me a slap when I get home, don't you worry. But no, he shouldn't be here with that accident, and he's just such a strong-willed man that he's been able to get home, rebuild the bike, and the bike was, well, the only thing salvageable really was the paddock stance. You know what I mean? That was it. It was an absolute mess. So he's put so much time and effort in. He's been driving me dear mother crazy, working hours and hours and hours, getting the bike built back up. Got it all done, but swinging your leg back over on a bike is a total different story. He's been back out on the bike today, and he was only going to do 1 session, but unlucky for me, lucky for him, my bike didn't turn up. The lad who built the bike, he's actually had to go to hospital. So get well soon, Neil, if you are listening. And yeah, I gave Dad my spot. And to be honest, for me, I'm the opposite end to what you two are. Yeah. It's like you're a father looking at your son going, oh, all right, go on, pull your finger out your arse, but let's just learn and go steady. Yeah. It's that little bat I can imagine. But for me, it was the polar opposite. I'm looking at my dad going, do not bollocks this up because my mother will kill us.
I should imagine it was the same thing, right?
Oh, I told you it was just like, oh my, it was like just like go out and enjoy it. And then typically like the father that I grew up admiring and wanting to be, like, I want to be him, he's my hero. And he just thought within 1 lap thing, and he's going to take a steady bollocks to that. He was head down, arse up on a bike he's just built after a year, and he's just scratching the living crap out of it. But no, having that was really, really special. But yeah.
How are you finding being on the sort of opposite end of the thing with having Max out there?
Fine. I've been around racing a long time, and so we all know ultimately what the dangers are, but in context with the rest of life, particularly as we've just seen with the pandemic and stuff, where you can be standing still and not realise what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Do I get nervous at particular points? Starts of races, yeah, you'd be crazy if you said no. Yeah, mm-hmm. But that's just about the start of a race, right? It's not like, oh, well, my son loses his right arm in a crash at the first corner. It's not like that. No. So I'm really glad that he's enjoying it. I've got no aspirations for him, only happy for him to have some aspirations and enjoy, like I did donkeys years ago, racing motorcycles. It's what it's all about.
How long have you been riding now, Max?
I started racing 2016. Last year you had the superbikes?
Yeah, when we were the last year did the BSB as a team owner, Max did the KTM Cup, which was great, running 3 riders in the top paddock and having my son about 300 yards away as a novice.
There's a couple of eyes on me down pit
Yeah.
lane.
How have you got all your hair? I do not know the stress.
Was that always the plan? Did you always have your eyes on eventually getting racing, or as you were? Because in sort of today's world, you know, people are starting, like, I've been pit biking today, and there's lads there that are like 5 and 6 on these mini bikes. As you were growing up, did you have aspirations of racing? Or?
Yeah, I think I always did. Obviously, I grew up around it all the time, didn't we? Just watching you race, actually, before you was managing a team. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to do it. I just left it probably quite late as a kid, considering I wanted to do it so early. I think I was 14 at the time.
You really mess it up. You could have started if he actually conned his mum into becoming a supporter of the idea, whereas before that she was vehemently against it. Yeah. And it somehow or another, in about 2 meetings, I remember the switching point was the summer meeting at Brands Hatch in about 2015, and all of a sudden my wife had become an advocate of Max racing motorcycles, and I was like, where the hell has that come from?
We have a lot of young listeners who want to learn how you did this. So if you could tell us exactly how you did that.
I'm not really sure, because when I was like really young,
bollocks, you know fine well.
when it was just like an idea, like I just said I wanted to do it, but didn't really put anything into action. Like that's when Dad was like, "Oh yeah, you can do it." Like you're thinking it's not going to happen, but like and then Mum was the opposite, like, "No, it's not happening." And then obviously, where Dad was so busy with the team one day, I thought, this really isn't going to start unless I've got to do something. So I had there was a mechanic, good friend of yours from years ago, called Kevin Wyatt, and he is really into the Moto 3s. He was working there at the time at BSB.
How you doing, Kev?
We got on really well, and so when I was, I think, 13 at the time, I thought, he's my way in. So I went up to Kev, and because he loved Moto 3s, he was like, he really wanted me on one of them. And obviously, I'm quite tall, even for my age. At the time, I was quite tall. So we all knew that wasn't really the right route to go down. But I thought, if I at least say to him that I want to race, like, help me with what to do, he'll start the process. And so he did, and eventually had a proper conversation.
Clever. He basically said, if we're going to work your dad over, we need to work your mum over first. Because he probably recognised that I would use her as a sort of portal call, a barrier, a roadblock. But no, they did a good job.
So Mum kind of took the approach of, if that's what he wants to do, it's hard to say no to stop him. And then that's when Dad turned around and was like, "No, he's not. He's not doing it. I don't want it." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Max, I don't want to inflate your ego, but can I just say you've got a very bright future if you can manipulate your parents really comfortably at 13-year-old. Well, congratulations, mate.
Thank
you've
you.
got a very bright future ahead of you, whatever you do.
It's gone downhill from there.
Bosses, boards, anything you'll be doing in the future.
And speaking of your dad racing earlier, before this podcast, I always say go on Google and try and find a little bit out about the guests. And I'm obviously very familiar with you as a team owner, boss, and throughout the last sort of 10 years or even longer in BSB. But I wasn't aware that you raced yourself, and obviously I found out you used to race in World Endurance. Was it?
Yeah, I did about just over a full season in World Endurance. Really enjoyed it. Rode for a private team. We were a bit underfunded. It was called GB Moto, actually. I nicked the name, and I've been flouting it about ever since. And had a really good time. So
was that born from sort of track days, or was it a family thing originally?
No, I raced. I actually raced. I started racing when I was 19, which was 87. And I raced a couple of years on Proddy 350s, power valves and stuff. Sadly, I started a year after the rise of a certain Mr. Terry Reimer in that class, actually, at club level. He was a good buddy of mine now. Mm-hmm. And so I raced little 2 strokes in production class for a couple of years, then got on to 600 and raced in, did clubbies, won a load of club races, and then thought, hey, I'll go British. I'm quick starter, I'm quick learner, and then got my arse handed to me straight away, like you do. But the final year, then I was racing with kind of Reynolds on a Kawasaki, Simpson, Jim Moody, Sean Emmett, all those boys, and I would say the best I got to was kind of a regular lower point scorer. So it was kind of the equivalent of Supersport then.
Right.
and I was just scrapping a few points together.
And then you decided to do World Endurance after that, was it?
Yeah, I thought, I suppose the commercial thing comes into this. I thought like being reasonably fast and reasonably savvy, but not having a lot of money, would actually make me a sponsor's dream. Of course, that's sadly not the case. Normally, it's the people who are looking good and putting themselves out there that attract more sponsorship or support.
The corporate side of things on that.
Yeah. So so I had to stop. My main sponsor pulled out, and I stopped. And there's 1,000 races that have been through that, of course. And then a little while later, I met some friends who said, "Do you want to do some endurance racing?" And initially, we did a couple of years in the UK endurance thing, which was brilliant. Then it was fantastic. One bike, 3 riders, 6-8 hour races.
Proper endurance racing with one bike.
Yeah. And then I went off and did some world stuff, and that really enjoyed it. Did okay. Scored some world championship points, but that's like a week at a time. I was always busy with work, and that was a week away at a time. 25 people on the road. It's like a big gig.
Mm-hmm.
And
What were you doing for a career at that point then?
I was in financial services, so I was kind of like in insurance, investments, mortgage products, life insurance, all that kind of stuff.
Sorry, I'll just have to close your case on Friday. I'm off to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah,
I'll give you a life policy on
A bit like that, yeah.
It must be,
That's
especially in
incredible.
that industry, and like you're competing against the very best and like driven. So to sort of balance a sort of double life must have been incredibly difficult.
Yeah, but you're all doing it. Everyone's doing it.
And not to the same extent as like a high pressure job in the city, though.
That was a bit later. I got into the money markets, into foreign exchange markets, and I met a great guy there, and we became partners and started a business 2001, and that became very fantastic fun, fantastically successful, but very hard work.
Mm-hmm.
But it was then that later on, past all my racing stuff, I stopped in 2008, I think. So
you started that particular business in 2001, and you carried on racing 7 years as well as that high pressure.
Yeah.
Fair play, mate.
Yeah, but I'm not being funny. That doesn't mark me out as special in our paddock. Everybody is balancing exactly the same stuff. I mean, because they are.
Yeah.
You got tradespeople that are going to work for 13 hours, 14 hours a day to get a set of tyres to race on practice on Friday. I mean, come on, it's the way it is.
Speaking of the world endurance scene as well, I'm aware that the one that's on this weekend, the UK has actually been sort of kept, like the UK teams weren't able to compete. I was speaking to Captain Kawasaki about it.
The French are throwing up the flag.
Basically.
Well, I saw the ADSS boys today, and I wondered why they weren't there.
Yes, so basically they got a phone call maybe like a week ago or more than a week ago, and so the plan had it all planned out, and there was a change to the rules to do with the COVID situation. And they basically had to be in France for the following day, otherwise they weren't allowed to go.
That was a week before the event, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
and it would have basically just made it impossible. They would have had to have like 2 or 3 weeks over there. There were all the quarantine and stuff. Just basically made it impossible. And also Joe Ackroyd's team, I think is it Team GB?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
same,
I think it's just the UK teams though that were under those sort of
Brexit.
rules. So yeah, it's
A Français, c'est murder.
Oh, that was smooth. I don't know
I don't
what you
speak
said,
French.
but that was nice.
what does that translate
He's not
to?
going to translate it on
doesn't
the show,
know.
is he?
It doesn't know.
The French, it's shit.
Right.
Funny story, actually, going back to riding the World Endurance. We it's a series, very much so, best supported by the French, and probably most populated in terms of teams and riders by the French. I thoroughly enjoyed my involvement in it, brief involvement in it. It's a fantastic part of our sport, actually, and it was governed and ruled, and the rules were applied by the French. Oh my God, what cheats! Unbelievable.
Let me check your postcode now.
Yeah.
Oh, English.
At the time, we were riding in the super stock class, super stock 1000 class, which is different to, well, not dissimilar spec to the bikes you guys are riding, and then there was a superbike class, and a lot of the big teams, factory teams, had actually gone to the super stock class, and you're just queuing up in the technical scrutineering line, and you're looking at these bikes, you're going, that's our standard linkage. That's definitely not. Excuse me, that's not standard linkage. It's French team.
There's so much politics
Yeah,
involved all over the
It
place.
made you smile. Made you smile.
I bet. And do you think that sort of the love of the endurance racing from yourselves translated over? Because I do a lot of the testing at the No Limits rounds, and obviously they run a fantastic endurance series, and we always seem to like either share a garage or be the garage next door or whatever.
Yeah.
And you had some good success there last year as well on the 600, didn't you?
Yeah, I'll let you take over. The lads finished second, and we sort of pulled together. Again, I suppose the dad and lad teams come to the fore. We rode with Elliot Lodge, and his parents really came along and got involved. And then a really good friend of mine, Kevin, the guy we shouted out, his son Casey, who I've supported in the past. And we had a lot of fun, didn't we?
Yeah, it was really good, really enjoyable.
And the team it's sponsored by Race Bikes, which is that a business that you set up a few years ago?
Yeah,
give it a little plug. Plenty of people listening, and it's a perfect audience.
So I'm really pleased with it, and still a bit bewildered by it. I had a load of stuff the real story was I had a load of stuff to sell when I stopped racing in British Superbikes in 2016. And started advertising it in various places, and I just thought, this is crazy. Like, there should be a place that everyone knows, and therefore most people go to buy and sell race bikes and spares and transporters and trailers and all the whatnot, and the paddock gear and garage kit. So I set one up. To be honest, I got sidetracked. I set one up called racebikes.com, and I started to slowly push it. I sold quite a lot of my stuff through it, which is pretty good, but not all. And then I got sidetracked by some other projects I was on, and then recently Max and myself, because he's been working as a digital marketing executive, partly on racebikes.com.
Like you do. That's a canny job title.
This is a big name.
Yeah.
It's a big title. It's not that complicated. It sounds good though.
Yeah.
It does sound good.
It sounds hellish to be fair.
So we just started pushing it again, and slowly but surely it is coming together. There's two good things are, if you contact the seller, it's a private thing, so there's no keyboard warriors saying, 20,000 quid, you could buy that in Korea for like 5p, that nonsense. Trashing your product or your advert. And the other thing about it is, eBay's tremendously successful, but it still has the stigma of an auction site.
Yes.
So when you're putting a fantastically turned out 2-year-old super stock bike on there for 15,000 quid, you're still getting people like offering you a ER650 and $8,000 in cash, and all that.
I'll swap you for a pit bike.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is that it avoids some of that as well.
Yeah, and that's Race Bikes with a Z, isn't it?
Spell it out.
RACEBUYKZ.com. Why did I call it that? Because it was the only URL or domain that I could get anywhere near what I wanted.
And
That sounds fancy though.
And I mean, the team, looks dead professional. Like properly presented as you would expect from yourselves. And did you win the championship last year?
No, I believe we came second to JR Performance, the Superstock boys.
Yeah.
Joe Richardson, I hope you're listening. We don't like you or your team.
And just
actually, we love you. You're brilliant.
And just
this is the psychological game continues.
Yeah.
They'll be like, does he mean it? Does he not?
Yeah.
I don't think we've actually had many people that do the endurance. So do you want to just give a quick rundown of like how a race weekend would go, like in the endurance?
Yeah. So obviously it's with No Limits, and as always with No Limits Racing, you normally get a track day before, as we was on today, which you use as your test effectively, free practice. And then on a Saturday morning, you'll have, it's not very long, I think it's 40 minutes to qualify between three. So if it's endurance, so trying to get 3 people out in that is actually quite difficult when it comes to it. And then you get a most commonly 3-hour race in the afternoon. I think they do 1 6-hour a year, and maybe I think there's a special 8-hour at Browns this year, which will be very cool to take part in. But so it's all over in 2 days basically, rather than in comparison to a 3-day weekend as you normally do.
And that's run alongside the thousands.
It's all in together, 4 classes.
Did they also run something like twins or something?
Yeah, we ran in twins. When Max came back to racing after a long break, you just did 1 year on the KTM.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and a year
off.
And
then started him on twins, which made sense. So 85 brake horsepower, V twins, good way to get going again. And so we ran the twins in the endurance, didn't we?
Yeah.
And over the 3-hour endurance, it's you each have your individual bikes, so it's not
not sharing. No.
And so as you come in, it's a quick transponder check, but it's a proper team effort, isn't it? And the communication's key. The pit stops.
Dad would say it's not proper endurance in a one bike, So, but I think we did that once, didn't we? In fact, my first round.
Yeah,
with Casey.
Yeah.
And we ended up
two,
with one
two
bike
lads
basically
around
on my first
qualifying.
time.
Big pressure for the mechanics. That it's like a TT wheel change, isn't it? Like in pit lane.
Yeah.
And I mean, it must throw up a lot of like changing weather and stuff like that. What's been your most sort of hectic race in terms of like unpredictable crashes?
It's got to be that Cadwell, surely, with all 3 bikes
Yeah,
ready to go in the bin.
So the first guy went out in this 40-minute session, got going real good, set a good time for us, and then great. And then he said, "Oh, I don't know about this." I said, so I put some preload on the back and took some comp off the front to try and achieve what he wanted. I said, "You're done now. Get the transponder back. Like just go out for an outlap and one flyer and just tell me whether it's better or worse." So he went out, never came back.
Gooseneck.
So we said, ran up to the lovely Claire and all the people that work at No Limits Racing and said, like, "Well, can we get our next guy out?" They said, "Yeah, we'll give you a transponder." Boom. Send that guy out. Hope you're listening, Elliot. And he did the same thing. Did his kind of like 10, 12 minutes.
I believe his was an in-lap just to drop him in that.
Yeah, So it is 10, 12 minutes. So we hold the inboard out. Max was going out last. And then he got nodded for the inboard to come in and then crashed at Gooseneck.
So they were both standing there together.
This is qualifying, yeah.
So like a few hours before the race.
Yeah.
And then 2, I think.
And then
lunch and then race.
And then I ran out to Claire again and said, "You got another transponder?" About 8 minutes left for Max. Slapped it on his bike. Out he went. Did about 2 or 3 laps. Came past us with what appeared to be smoke billowing out the back of his bike. I mean, I'm like, oh my god, he's off at turn 1. That's got to be. Wasn't off at turn 1. Eventually came back into pit lane and
the track's covered in oil.
No.
No.
One of the lads.
Well, it's lucky I did get back, to be honest, isn't it?
One of the lads had left a spacer out the back of the sprocket carrier, and someone had cranked the axle up, and it was just grinding itself to death. So what actually happened was that bike was welded. The whole back wheel was welded to the swing arm, and the other 2 bikes were beat to shit. So we just made one good one out of the lot, and they raced on that.
Where did you finish up after that? After a bollocking?
It was a podium. It was 3rd, maybe?
Yeah, 3rd.
Yeah.
Fair play, lads.
In the 600s, I believe, as well. We on the twins. The first year, they didn't have a twins class, so we were constantly battling with the 600 classes, the national sixes. So I think it was a 3rd in that, yeah.
I tell you what, I must ask before I forget, why the year gap then? You know when you were talking about your KTM,
2016 was the KTM, and then I was at school and had my GCSEs, and Dad turned around and said, "You're not doing it because you got to focus on school." And I was like,
wasn't
really?
quite like that. It was.
That's how I remember it.
If you don't study well, I'm going to stop you racing motorbikes.
And obviously, I carried on studying really hard.
Good. I actually did. Did a similar thing with the year after I won the Triumph Triple Challenge, I had my A levels and I took pretty much a year out. I ended up doing like 3 races, but when I think about it, I was carrying quite a lot of momentum at the time, and you woulda, shoulda, coulda. You can never look back and change things. But obviously, I'm a big believer that you've got to have other things, and it's a very risky business to put all your eggs in one basket, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Especially with a sport like ours, where as the pot on your foot can say, it's a dangerous game, isn't it?
Yeah,
and anything can happen.
And now that we're talking about the pot on the foot, let's talk about the pot on the foot. What happened here, son?
Just a small off at Cadwell, round 3 at No Limits.
Small off? You grinded your teeth when you said that bit. You were like that.
No, it was embarrassingly slow. Honestly, I think I was probably travelling about 10 mile an hour when I went down. I was pushed off to the track or helped along onto the grass, let's say.
That is the most political answer saying I got bunted off a track. I got escorted to the side.
Yeah, it was like that, just into the left at the bottom of the mountain. Obviously, anyone that's ridden it will know that there's not a lot you can do there.
No.
To wet grass as well, which is always great. And my aim was really to keep it upright and aim at the mountain. and hope that if I
See
can
if you
just
could get him.
Yeah, see if I yeah. No,
This is not over.
my aim was to try and get 1 or 2 wheels on the tarmac and then give it a hard right turn, because obviously there's still people coming, but I thought I don't want to go down here, I'd rather get on and up. So I actually got my front wheel onto the track and I thought, I've done it, like, this is wicked. And then the back just came round and my foot was in a pretty nasty position. Straight away it was doing the old clicking and I just thought, oh, you're joking.
So what damage is it? Obviously,
Well,
you got one of these space boots on.
Yeah.
Is there anything broken?
Yes, they broke the outside of the ankle. So, you got like the ball on the outside. It's like split, really. Which, to be honest, is better than any other part because it's not very movement based, if you know what I mean. It stays in that position.
You know what I love about being a motorcycle racer, and you've got this nailed already, is the fact that every injury's not that bad, is it? You know what I mean? You break your arm, but that was the good bone to break in your arm.
Yeah,
It's
it was.
You've still fundamentally broken your arm.
Tom, your dad's testament is
I know.
like, that leg's all right.
That's it.
That's all right.
Yeah, I never liked that leg
Yeah,
anyway.
that's all right,
Slowed
that.
me down.
Right
Yeah.
foot as well, so
Yeah.
not the gear foot, which is
You
good.
see what I mean?
Everyday life, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Couldn't drive a car. It was like, it's a nightmare. But racing terms, it's great.
It's a great testament to the way that you people react in our sport. Max has, off his own back, has done the same. It's like I slowed him down from doing too much in the first couple of weeks. We went to the hyperbaric chamber 2 or 3 times. He phoned the hospital, had it x-rayed again. Then they said he could walk in his boot, which is obviously a good thing because he's semi-weight loading. And then we've kind of had him spinning on a bike with no tension or pressure on the spinner, and kind of like just get it moving again. And it just shows you, I mean, most people break their ankle and like slope around for 8 weeks, don't they, and kind of tell everybody in the world about it, but motorcyclists don't do that. Just get on with it. And it looks, from what I've seen today, it looks like pretty much meant.
It felt great, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
A lot better than I anticipated, so
Yeah.
it was good.
Have you been to Crop before? Was this around last year?
No, it wasn't around last year. It was the year before. So 2 years ago we came here, and I think we was on the Twins. Yeah, we were.
Right.
We was on the Twins, so I had briefly done it, but I mean that was a wet weekend as well, so I wasn't that familiar with the track.
I was about to say, because you'll remember this forever, because it never sunshine and darling.
Yeah,
Really, so
well,
it's like, once
been
in
lovely.
a lifetime, mate, people have begged for that. So well done.
Yeah.
I've seen some people walking about in their underwear today. Maybe
That's just the locals, to be fair.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's sunshine or not. That's just the locals.
But so
Everyone would be like Googling, John, I'm going there straight away.
we kind of got to the end of you riding yourself,
Yeah.
and then as
highly unsuccessful period of my life.
as everyone will be aware who's listening,
I
of
wouldn't
you,
say that at all. You did world endurance. That's outstanding.
of you sort of team management and owner
Yeah.
sort of period at BSB. So I guess the first thing is what inspired you to initially set up a race team?
I was working hard, and I thought, when I get out of here one day, what I'd really like, if I make some money, what I'd really like to do is run a team, start a team, and spend some time, energy, and not so much money, although that's how it always transpires, doing that.
Mhm.
And then some years went by when I was thinking like that, and I thought to myself, hold on, plan's a bit flawed, because you don't want to start when you finish. You probably want to pick up something that you've already started and has got a little bit of momentum. So I thought, right, well, let's start. And started with a Super Stock 1000 team. We ran 2 riders on Hondas in 2011. We literally did what everybody does, bought a truck, slapped an awning on the side of it, went and got some sponsors or some suppliers and small sponsors, and signed some riders, and signed up Tristan Palmer and Dave Johnson, the Aussie Dave-O Johnson, and we did good. We ran.
What made you go down the stock 1000 route straight off the bat? Was it just the cost? Was it like similar thing to run? What was your idea behind stock 1000?
I just thought that it was stable. I knew the bikes because I've raced thousands myself.
Right.
I kind of knew that it would be foolish to jump straight into super bikes with no experience. And it seemed like, I suppose, a good compromise. And I think it was. It was brilliant. We had a really good year. I think Trish won 4 races, which is a great way of starting the British Championships. And we got caught cheating, which is I'd like to thank my engine builder for. And
Were you aware of? Was that done sort of underhand, not to your knowledge, or was
genuinely it was. It was the most crazy thing. it was a kit base gasket that was found in our engines. Now,
Thinner gasket to put the compression up.
yeah, I suppose so, but I didn't know about it, and it was a bitter pill to swallow, and an unprecedented thing that has never, I believe, certainly hadn't happened before then, and I believe has never ever happened again. We were fined 50 points for the indiscretion, and I would have said without that, Trish would have won the championship with us. Would have. Statistics would say that with a fair win based on what happened before and what happened afterwards, we'd have won the championship. But like most things, you live and learn, don't you? So obviously we made sure that we never found ourselves in that situation again.
I was about to say, because like speaking bluntly, it's quite that reputation. Yeah. It's like, even though it was not your fault, someone else put you in that situation. But shaking that.
Well, listen, you have to take responsibility for what you do in life, and we transgress the rules. We got absolutely clobbered for it. I still don't understand to this day why that decision was taken. Well, I do actually, because it knocks a load of noses out of joint.
Yes,
and the pressure from those people, I firmly believe, ended in that penalty being applied. But nevertheless, we transgressed and we got punished for it. But yeah, humbling. I remember sitting in after the meeting and having to go down and tell the team what had just been meted out, and that was a low point for me. And I always remember Tristan actually as the rider. That was you could definitely you can imagine me walking in and saying, "Got some bad news, boys. They're taking 2 race wins off you mid-season. That's not a good place to be."
Yeah.
For as a sports person,
So, like from that point onwards, from you managing them, it's a case of how did they react to that? Were they pissed off? Were they more fired up to on legit
I think we all it took us like a meeting or so to lick our wounds a little bit. But, we actually all got together and said we were pretty undeterred, and how we performed after that was pretty much how we'd performed before it. And we made a vendetta that we felt we recognised who was responsible for creating situation, and we vowed that they would not beat us again that season, and they didn't. So I don't know whether we got that call right or wrong, but anyway, it motivated us to finish the season as strongly as we'd.
Can I just ask? Do you know that the whole procedure from the organisers taking 50 points off, is that all done in house in terms of in BSB, or is it taken to like is it a legal court of
the League of Gentlemen?
How does that work?
On that occasion, I certainly had the option to take it to some higher appeal. Which would have stepped, I think, slightly outside of the championship. But to be honest, it was quite clear at that stage that that was probably pretty futile, and it was this is the punishment, and if you want to be here, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, but listen, we had that was the start of a fantastic chapter in British Superbike. So I've probably sort of started on a low light.
No, well, it's honest. It's racing's up and down, and I've throughout your time as a team owner, I've read lots of interviews like at various stages, and there's kind of 2 things that really stand out. One is that you're very honest in terms of ups and downs. A lot of the time when you speak to, like, for example, after a test, you can guarantee everyone's had a really positive test. They've tried lots of things and found some really
the boring
an interview with you do get like genuinely what's happened. And the other thing is, in terms of finances, you've been incredibly open about the sort of cost of racing, and that's something that for various reasons people keep a closed lid on in general. But I remember reading a John Hogan interview in Superbike magazine, and it was talking about that first year and like how you'd sort of budgeted in your mind and how it had escalated way higher. But one thing that really stood out throughout that interview is the determination of like setting goals, and no matter what happened, and getting there and taking it off. And rather than just going through that interview, I'll put the link to that interview for people that would like to read it. But I remember that first year you'd kind of, but it was something like budgeted around 250,000, and it ended up being like 375.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And,
I bet your accountant was sweating.
That was just Dave Johnson's bar bill.
What was? We must talk about Davo. What was he like to work with then?
Well,
Come on, he's Davo.
I'll tell you a few funny stories. That's what this is all about.
Good lad. Good lad.
So I love Davo. I'd like to think that he and I are good buddies. But he rode for us for 6 rounds, or 6 or 7 rounds of that year, and then I sacked him because he was too fat.
Really?
Yeah.
As in, did you say you need to be this weight by this round, and he just wasn't
Well,
this
well,
weight?
Wasn't there a thing with batteries? Is that with the scales? No.
Yeah.
Is that yeah.
So basically, he kept telling me that he was. I mean, Davo's a great rider. I love him, and there's nothing unprofessional about Dave. He, when he gets on a bike, he does a job, and he was actually riding quite well, and I was pleased with that. But he wasn't the fittest guy, and he knew that I knew that, and we had an agreement that he could live his life, do what he needed to do, but he needed to be a certain weight. Off the top of my head, I think it was 80 kilos.
So not unrealistic.
No, it was 80 kilos. Might have even been 85. Can't remember, but it wasn't unrealistic. Certainly not for him. He's not like 6'4".
Yeah.
It's not Dave Jeffries,
And,
And
was it a case of just throughout the season it wasn't happening? So
no. Well, he kept telling me he was, but then we got the scales out, and he wasn't. So, and then I said to him, "Well, you've got X amount of time to sort this out," and then
and he didn't.
I think you put on weight. I love you, Dave. You know I love you, Dave.
He's stress eating without knowing it. It's like looking at the scales eating a McDonald's going, oh God.
Did you ever watch it might have even been around that sort of time when he was on First, there's a programme on Channel 4 called First Dates.
Have you seen this?
Have you not seen that? That is
I've
so
seen it.
hilarious.
We had him on the show and then it ended up getting reposted it on Facebook, and honestly, I'll have to put, like, Grace, who does the editing, is going to be so busy with this, like the link drops, but you have to watch it.
It's basically like a family of actors and hidden cameras, and it's a must watch.
Do you know what? I regret that though.
Do you?
Yeah, I do regret it because A, he's a good rider. B, he's a good guy, and do you know what? The only difference it made to us was that it meant that Dave didn't have a ride at that point in his career, and I think if I went back now, I'd have just like beasted him a bit more and said, "Come on, mate, you're pissing me off. Like, sort this out." So I kind of, I don't regret it. But if I went back and had my time again, I wouldn't have taken that decision.
Yeah,
And
fair enough.
Do you think that's maybe a sort of that split life, like the corporate city world and like ruthless,
Yeah, I think so.
and then coming into the race and then maybe like crossing over a little bit?
I do think that. Yeah,
So, like,
I'm not making an excuse for myself. But,
Oh no, that's it. No, but like I don't know Davo to the level you know Davo. I know Mr. Happy Adelaide lad who just makes it put a smile on your face. But like, when that happened, being in the paddock, what was your relationship like? Could you pick up the phone to him now, or was it kind of it's interesting that?
Yeah, he was. To be honest with you, if I remember the actual incident, he came into my motorhome and we had this conversation, and it kind of got pretty emotional. And he started crying, and then I started crying. So it was exactly kind of like, I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street, really. It was a bit, but like I say, I felt like I was taking the right decision at the time.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I
and he knew that as well. He had a task to do, and that's and he's still a professional rider.
We get on great. I've seen him loads and loads of times since, and our relationship. I think he would have looked back on that. I think he'd look back at it now and go, it was possibly a good kick up the arse for him,
Yeah, exactly.
Was it 6 months later he's sending you 6-pack pictures?
Yeah.
Training in the gym.
Mr. Australia, like that.
And another thing, you were originally set to do 2 years in Superstock, but then they opened up the Evo class, and it was kind of that perfect opportunity to going up to Superbikes.
Yeah.
But on the rules that kind of we've got now without the very expensive electronics.
Yeah, that's right.
And was it you stayed with Honda as well for that initial period? And did you stay with Tristan?
Yeah, we went first year in Superbikes, stayed on with Tris, and had Luke quickly as well.
Mhm.
So again, looking back, we did our very best to build a top class bike. It wasn't for lack of money and real kind of effort that we fell a bit short of the front runners. It was lack of experience.
Mhm.
And I'd have to say about that period, we didn't do that well. We had a really, really average year.
Mhm.
I think that, which was amazing, because the first round, Trish qualified on the front row of kind of damp Brands Hatch, and I thought, this is just, here we go, Paul Bird, move over, I'm coming through, all that stuff. And I don't think we scored another point for about 7 meetings or something. So
It's a tough sport, isn't it?
yeah, it's really tough. And that was the reason, Chris, that we went up. They were taking away the electronics. I remember people like Sean Muir and stuff, people like that were pretty angry because they'd spent so much money on their electronic kit, and I get that. But for us, it was a good opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And for the series in general, I think it's opened it up massively. And like
Sure.
Right now, the rules, pretty much any manufacturer and any team, private or factory supported, has a chance of winning race if you get your bike well set up and your riders on form. It is much more open than it used to be. I guess.
So being a Honda team at that point, when was I know you as the Kawasaki team, it's like, when did that transaction happen?
So that was 2012, and then 2013 we stayed in Honda. So third year with Honda, but second year in Superbikes. It was going nowhere. In hindsight, again, you live and learn. You've got Lauf Honda, the Samsung Hondas as they were then. You had Paget's, who are an institution. You had WFR, which were a big team for a good number of years. And they were playing a massive budget into their racing. So I guess if you look back, we were like fourth best. The runty ended on the kind of superbike paddock, and didn't get a lot of help, didn't get any help, didn't get any support, and couldn't get access to any kind of semi-factory parts. And so we ran with 2013 with Dan Limfoot and Peter Hickman. That was the first time we worked with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just, by then the bikes chassis wise and electronics wise, and the team infrastructure was pretty damn good, but we were just underpowered.
Was it that year that did Tyco come in at the end of that year and sponsor your team? I remember like a chrome bike at one point.
No, that was Pete was on another Honda.
I just remember him flipping it.
Yeah,
Can you remember?
Yeah,
Was
he
that
did,
the
he did
RAF?
flip it. Yeah.
He pulled a wheelie down the back straight.
Rode for Ian. Can't remember the name of the team. They were in the southwest.
Right. I remember him took
Anyway.
it on.
It'll end up popping in your
It was
head.
on
Yeah.
it was on like a warm down lap or something, or a victory
was.
lap, and
It
he
was
tried to pull a wheelie down the back straight
We flipped it.
and flipped it, and just absolutely, because they did like a special one-off, a chrome
It was a
Tyco Honda,
yeah.
and it just absolutely
You're
obliterated.
joking.
No,
Oh.
it's like
He
massive.
wrote it off, yeah.
I guess that
Oh
wasn't.
my
I guess that wasn't the inspiration that for us a signing for.
Although he did ride for us the next year.
Yeah,
he did.
and that turned out to be,
I just realised at that point he was fully committed. He's my kind of
That's
guy.
exactly
I
what
want
we
him. I
need.
want him.
Do you know how many Max's mates and everyone be like, I can't like that guy. You get a nice bike, son. You flip it.
Wait till
Yeah.
BSB round one.
That's
You're going to
it.
see some impressive stuff.
That's exactly it.
Wherever you start from, you're going to be up there with turn one right on.
Yeah, no breaks.
Were you involved with the race team? I know you'll have been much younger, but did you have
No.
any involvement?
I was like the annoying little kid running around, really. Just, really pleased to be in that kind of environment, which was really cool.
Getting brought back to the motorhome by Gareth or Jane.
Yeah, getting told off and stuff. No real involvement, to be honest. Just having to listen to Dad's, stressful conversations and stuff on the way home from a race meeting. But that's about it, really.
Yeah. And
Was that deterring at you at any point? Because you can imagine the stress, like and everything like that. Did you just think, oh, bloody hell, this is
There
my
was,
dad's
well,
thing?
when,
and,
obviously,
like,
when you're younger, there was a bit like, why are you doing this?
Yes.
Like, all I can see is like sitting like, I don't know, 6 hours from Cadwell back to home, and it's just like non-stop phone call of like shouting down the phone because you're angry about something, and I'm just sitting
lose
like,
weight, Davo.
Yeah, and I was just sitting there like,
I love you, Dave.
Yeah, just wondering if
I'm
this
massively
is really worth it.
overcompensating here.
And that transition from Honda to Kawasaki proved to be a very good move from that respect. And in terms of the professionalism of the team, there was also a massive step up.
Yeah, I think I need to shout out Chris Walker here because I didn't know Chris Walker at the time, and who was it who put me in touch with him? Somebody put me in touch with me, and he said, you've been noticed and you're kind of doing good stuff, and what do you think about coming to Kawasaki? And I was a bit like, well, I'm cheesed off with Hondas, and that might be a good thing. And I was in Spain. We got a place in Spain. I was out there at the time. I remember the conversation really vividly, and he said, listen, I'd like to try and make that happen, but would you include me in that? And I said, yeah, I possibly would, yeah. And he said, it doesn't have to be me, but I'd like to think that if I can kind of put you in touch with the right people and those conversations go well, that you'd think of me. So, and it was not much more than that. And then I started to speak to the Kawasaki UK guys. At the time, the lead, and still is the lead man's Ross Burridge, and I spoke to a lot of people, all of the people at Kawasaki UK, and it was a little bit controversial because, as was latterly the case again, Pete at Bournemouth was running the team at that time, and
who was he running at that time on the track?
I tell you, who he was running. He was running Dan Limfoot. He was actually running Dan Limfoot on a Kawasaki. And Howie Mainwaring. That's who he was running.
Yeah.
Was that Primo or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Primo Kawasaki, Primo Bournemouth Kawasaki, I think they were.
Yeah.
And the way things turned out after I spoke to them was that they agreed that we would get the BSB deal, and that Pete would keep the Rhodes deal, and Pete at Bournemouth would keep the Rhodes deal. So
that was straight into being the sort of factory supported Kawasaki.
It was, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I signed James Ellison, who I'd been after for a year or two, and Chris Walker.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the start of that season at Brands, it started brilliantly. I remember thinking Chris, I sort of saw James as a title contender that year, but in my head at the time, I was sort of thinking Chris would be more of like a sort of top 10 man.
Yeah.
And they went out and they were both on the podium straight away.
They were, yeah.
And sort of the dream start really to the...
Hold on. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to remember the bike livery. Did you have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bike?
We did.
That was where they had so much character.
Cool. Silverstone. We did it for one round. It was a deal that Kawasaki UK did with the people that were making and marketing the latest teenage.
Well, Megan Fox and it. It's all coming back now.
Yeah.
Please tell me you've got them fairings in your workshop.
Actually, I've got a couple.
God,
of them.
Matt,
Honestly,
I think more teams should do. If you do come back to the any form roads or anything, please bring that along with you, because those liveries are standout moments.
There might be a set on www.racebikes.com.
I'm loving that.
Will it take 20 quid?
Not quite.
I'll swap you for a pit bike.
There you go. You started that eBay stuff again, didn't you? So I
How to Watch Your Weight by Dave O. Johnson.
So I just want to say hello to, if they get to listen to this, to Chris Walker and James Ellison as well, because they were great at that time, and they were part of what sort of propelled our team into a sort of a new era, really.
And and that obviously went really successful. You also looked to go to the road racing as well.
I was just about to ask what year did that start?
So we went to the TT. We did the Northwest and the TT for the first time in 2015, and we did it with Gary Johnson. So we rode.
Yes,
Gary rode for us in the super bike and the super stock class. A little bit unlucky in the super bike race.
He had a slip off coming.
Up the mountain.
On the top of the mountain there.
He was running sixth then, which
Godfrey's. Just the back end, just slightly slow crap. Well, not slow, but yeah.
He was running sixth for us then, and that would have been a fantastic opening result for us. And then we went back the next year in 16 with Hickey, and he rode the super bike and super stock bike for us, and he was leading that was with a new 16 Kawasaki, and which was a little bit troublesome when it first left the showroom as a race bike, and he broke down in the leaders Superstock race, and then I think we had some fueling problems with his superbike, but I loved it. I've been back to the TT 2 or 3 times since then. I just loved it.
So why earlier on, when you first started the team,
Yeah.
why didn't that road transition happen earlier, if you know what I mean? Or was it just never...
budget? Just budget.
Budget.
Yeah.
Because you also did the Ulster and the Northwest as
Yeah,
well.
In 16, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was really upset. He led the Superstock race for us at the Ulster, and had a tyre problem, and then I think he was leading the second Superstock race, and we had an engine go. I remember being really upset at the time. I said to him he needed to go and ride for somebody else because we were letting him down, and at the time we were letting him down, because even then he was clearly one of the best road racers about, and so he did.
No, but that's a very honest, from a team manager, when you think that's a very honest, very, very honest approach to it, and fair play to you to actually say that to your rider.
Yeah.
And
fair play.
as well as that he did do well on the roads that year. I know a few mechanical failures and stuff, but he's still riding really well. And he was also riding excellent in British Superbikes that year. And going into that year, am I right in saying that the team lineup was sort of sorted with Hickman and Ellison originally as a 2-man team, and then it transpired that Leon Haslam didn't have a ride in World Superbikes. Can you sort of what's the story behind how it went from 2-man to 3-man?
So we were settled. We'd signed both riders from the same rider. Kept signing 2 riders. James was in the fight in 15, despite having to been injured. So we were quite confident about our chances. But Leon came along and wanted to stay on a Kawasaki at the time, be on a Kawasaki at the time, and then a conversation transpired, and I was just like, I want this guy to ride for my team. I thought of it from both ends. Do I want him to ride for our team, and how good could that be? And B, if he rides for another team, how hard is he going to be to beat? So, and I figured he'd be pretty hard to beat, and he would have been.
Yeah.
So we just rolled out some extra yards and dug deep and made it a 3-man team, and that wasn't easy at all, because from logistics, like garages, they're best set up for 2 people rather than 3.
Yeah.
Try that at Knockhill and all that stuff, and Thruxton, think about that. And obviously it put a few noses out of joint at the time, and that needed to be dealt with, and obviously it meant the budget was just sailing away, so it was hard work. But I have no regrets. I used a stupid phrase earlier. I wouldn't change that decision. By then I was kind of like, I wanted to win the championship, and we got bloody close to doing that.
That year.
Yeah.
And also,
that year actually we won 50% of the BSB races.
I remember that. And
then the showdown happened.
Yeah.
And also running up to that race as well, a bit of history that we've talked about a few times on the podcast, that famous race from Oulton Park where it was a 1-2-3. And if you think like stats wise to get through like all 3 riders on the podium in the same race, do you think having Leon in the team helped with the sort of development of the bike and sort of setup, which then helped the other riders, or is it?
No, I don't. I don't. In fact, to be honest with you, he was quite connected with the KRT team, and he was permanently trying to get us to run like various bits that he thought he could cadge from those relationships, which wouldn't have suited like the development of the bike at all. He'll smile if he hears this, because he knows it's true. So we had to kind of hold all that back a little bit, and keep doing what we were doing with a new bike. What I do think happened though is I think that he, rather than kind of it being a little bit initially difficult mentally for people like James and Peter, particularly James, to kind of buy into. I think what he did do is he put the bar right up there straight away.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have said that they rode worse. I'd have said they rode better. Yeah.
And like Dom alluded to in the showdown, was that the year that it went down to the last round and Haslam had a big lead?
Yeah. What Haslam had a lead. The first round of the 3-round showdown was at Donington, which was kind of stupidly termed as like Haslam territory. And Shaky, hello Shane, if you get to listen to this, I'm sure you do. He's one motherfucker competitor to beat. He just is. He just does not like beating that man. That boy at the time, I used to think of him, and he's a strong competitor, and I think he was just so determined to try and beat and break Haslam at Donington, and in a way he did. He won the first race of that showdown at Donington, and Leon was trailing him in the second one and lost the front at Redgate. And that handed a kind of like, I don't know, they went into the showdown. Shaky might have had like a 12-point lead, and then he had a 37-point lead. Then something fantastic happened. 2 fantastic races. We went to Assen for round 11, second round of the showdown, and Leon beat him fair and square in a massive dust-up in both races. I remember the night in Groningen after that. I very much remember that night. And so does my sponsor, Tina from McCann's, probably. I drenched her in a pint of my beer when I got a bit over exuberant, and I washed it. Yeah, and and then we went to the Brands the last round, and then it just all conspired to go wrong for us. A handlebar snapped on Haslam on our bike in qualifying, which was the Saturday. Obviously, it's a 3-race weekend. He then, I think that was unfair on him. It put massive pressure on the team to rebuild the bike for the race, which was a couple of hours later. It was wet. He fell off coming out of Druids on the first lap, the opening lap. And we just kind of, I think he won a race that weekend, last one, I think. But it slipped away and Shaky took it. So, yeah, but good times. The day we did the 1, 2, 3, virtually no teams get to run 3 guys anyway, but so it's unlikely that anyone will ever repeat that. And I'm super proud of that fact, and I'm super proud of not just the 3 riders that actually pulled that off, because they were brilliant, but the lads and lasses that work for the team now, but they were just the best.
Have you got that as a picture, a big mantle on your mantelpiece? Have you?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I would have.
Yeah.
But like I say, we talk about it. We've mentioned it a good few times on the podcast.
Yeah.
It is a proper bit of history, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
I have to say though, a bit of beef with Sky Sports or Eurosport, because they just washed over it. Yeah, it didn't get any proper recognition at all. At all.
It's just like it's happened, moved on. It's
They should be ashamed. They're listening. They should be ashamed of themselves for the way they did not cover that off properly.
That is fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
So leading into that, let's lead in the championship winning year.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
can I just say, there was another year where Leon came really close, wasn't there?
Yeah,
of course, that was The Speed Is My Need, that documentary. Have you seen that on Netflix?
But that was with Pete's team. I'd bowed out by then.
Of course, bloody hell.
Yeah. So that was all quite good. I mean, the short story there was we had a great sponsor, JG Speedfit, and guys, I notified Kawasaki with a couple of rounds to go that I was going to stop, and we kind of tried to make the best deal for whatever happened next. And so he managed to, thankfully, to retain the sponsorship through JG Speedfit. That went with Pete's team. Leon went with Pete's team, and that was all good by me and all good by everyone else.
So why did he decide to bow? Was it just like a tick in the box? Was it why?
I just became disenchanted with the championship.
Right.
For a number of reasons, some of which I won't go into, but
yeah,
I felt I was under a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say, I was just under a huge workload at work. I didn't think it was actually that fair to my family. I realised that the sport was becoming I wasn't enjoying the sport anymore.
Yeah.
Not because we lost that year, but because it's just bloody hard work doing what I was doing. By comparison, Harvey, who works for Honda, I mean, it's his full-time job.
Yes.
And he does a bloody good job at it. But I had a full-time job somewhere else, and that job too. And there was a few things that we all see a few things going in racing, and some of them didn't line up with my principles, and that was that.
I tell you what, I'm going to apologise. Like, bowing out, you haven't bowed out at all. You've just taken a different... No, you haven't though, have you? You know, normally some people actually get that sick of the politics, you'll like put it, underline it, and go, right, I'm not going near a motorcycle again. Yeah. I take that totally back. Here you are at Croft, where you're sitting in a Premier car park right now at the moment. But like, you're at Croft
with a three-day Croft circuit band on.
That's made that's made of paper, so you can't actually have a shower, you smelly scruff. Like,
That's right.
No, but the fact is, you haven't bowed out. You've just taken a different path. You're back here. You're back racing. So which is really important.
I'm loving this.
And I was going to say it was a brilliant thing on the BSB website at the beginning of this year. A picture of you and Nick with your hands in your head in your hands. Like, it was almost saying like, oh God, what are we doing type of thing. But you know, it's really great, and doing it with your son, it'll be a totally different feel to in previous times. But I mean, Max, you must be really excited about after all those years of BSB to be.
No, it's on me. Yeah, no, I am really excited. I am nervous as well. You know, it's a big step up, and I know it's going to be really, really tough. But you know, there's no real pressure. We're just going to go like it was publicised, the whole dad and lad thing. We're just going to go there, try and have as much fun as possible, and if I can get a bit faster on the way, then happy days.
So what's it? Okay, let's talk about your bucket list. How old are you?
19.
19, right? Your bucket list must be thousands and thousands of yards long. But let's talk about your motorcycle bucket list. What events would you like to do? What your dreams? Where would you like to start? Where would you like to finish?
I've thought about this for a while, and I don't really have any specific things on my bucket list. I've always just said, like, I want to be able to go as far as I possibly can in the whole motorcycle racing industry, whilst having fun, because I think it's quite easy to get to a point where you're going further and further up, but you slowly start to perhaps lose the love for the sport, or politics gets involved, something like that. So I just want to be able to get as far as possible whilst maintaining the same level of love and passion for the sport, really. And so if you can get as far as possible, doing it all, and it's good, isn't it?
I've got to ask this, because I think this situation would be very hard to replicate and having direct answers. Now, you being a big fan of the TT, running TT teams and having that involvement. Now, we've got a very strong answer from the side here, but it's a bit like, thing is, you're growing, you're having your own ideas, and you think, let's try a few things. Let's talk in theory. Your mother's going to punch me. I've never met your mum. I can see this happening. Just go, you know what? I would like to go to the TD.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts to that?
So, Max is a man now. I couldn't stop him doing that. And I wouldn't want him to do it. I love the TT. I've made some friends that are road racers. Peter's a real good buddy. I would class him as, and I know some other guys, Dave-O and a few lads. I love it. I respect that. I'm definitely one of those people that having witnessed it and taken part in it a little bit, really respect it as a part of our sport. I wouldn't want my son to do it because it's just so dangerous. But I actually understand, having just ridden around the circuit myself on some mornings, how off the charts it must be to race there. So the highs, I can understand the allure, the drug, the kind of the ups. But I wouldn't want him to do it, but I couldn't stop him doing it. That's my bit.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I'm guessing that Mum would be the same.
Yeah.
I've never met the woman.
I'm not sure. Yeah, no. I
don't
think
know.
she put her foot down on that one.
But it would be down to Max.
Have you been to the TT yourself?
I have.
So you've been to watch.
I think I went 2 years, maybe.
The
whilst
2
you were
years we
doing
ran.
it. I haven't been since. But I loved it. Like everyone says, it's a great atmosphere when you get there. But it's never been something that's interested me in that way, from a rider's perspective.
You see that's good, very good news for you. Very good news for you.
Yeah.
But you see the thing is, when I went, the First time I stood there, I went, this is for me. And it's
well,
it should be that immediate attraction.
Yeah,
you know,
if it's not that, you shouldn't do it.
That's it. You know what I mean? So I know that's
I
it.
wish
Great news for you today.
I wish I'd have done it when I first started riding.
That's the interesting thing, isn't it? It's just when you have your own kid, you
Yeah.
think, nah, but then it's
I wish I'd have done it.
really.
Yeah.
As in just to tick it off the bucket list? Or
No, I
actually done
wish it had. I think it had. I was never a great rider. I was just a big lump that tried hard, but I reckon it would have suited my style.
Mm-hmm.
And
What?
Yeah, and I just with a break I had in my racing between like sprint racing and then doing some endurance, it kind of came off the radar.
Yeah. And so just going back to what you were saying about Superstock there, and it's sort of enjoying it and whatever. I feel like so sort of privileged to have an opportunity to do it. Like there's literally nothing that I've ever experienced in the world that comes close to racing bikes, and to challenge yourself against the best riders in the country in front of big crowds with the best medical supervision possible. Really, it's to have an opportunity to do it and to sort of grab it with both hands, and and anything that's like really difficult, whether it's sporting or otherwise, I think you get like a sense of satisfaction from like working really hard at something and like sticking at something and gradually working your way up. And for me, looking back, I would probably say my best memories was actually working my way through the pack. And like
seeing
my first year
progress.
First year racing, like I remember for example, I had 2 rounds at Donington, and like the first time I went there, I was like, I think I qualified like 25th, and then a month later I went back in similar conditions, and I'd knocked a second and a half off my time, and I was 15th on the grid. And
that's a great feeling, isn't it?
And it's such a most people that are listening to this are obviously bike fans, and they'll sort of understand it. But getting to race, and I'm really looking forward to sort of tracking you.
I think it's a sport that delivers massively on that front. I've seen in Max. I felt myself go through the gears ahead of my friends when I was racing at a similar age to you now. You'd go away and you'd do your first couple of years racing, and you were a man. You were doing very grown-up things, and you were pushing yourself mentally more than physically into a non-comfortable zone frequently to make your way up the race order, and
there's a word for that. It's called debt.
Yeah.
These tyres are expensive.
What can I do to pay for another pair of these?
That's it. Hold on, grown-ups have debt. I must be a grown-up. Oh God.
So I just think that it delivers massively on that front.
It's almost like an education. It's a different type of education, but it is an education in life.
2 or 3 years ago, when we just decided you just come back, we'd race in the Twins. I watched. It was that race we were talking about before. It was a bit of a disaster, but you went out to hold the bike for Casey to start, and then he shot off, and then I watched Max walk back in with a couple of fellow racers. One was on his left, looked about 30, and one was on his right, looked about 35, and they were all jibber jabbering like you do, helmets in hands. I wish you could good luck. Have a great race. Oh, we did this in practice, and he was at the time 17 or something.
16, 17.
And I was just, shit, he's a man. Look at him. Like, they think he's a man because they're racing him, but they're going to be racing against him in an hour's time. And it was all of, and it delivers that stuff. It does.
Because of the speed and the danger, it requires such a level of focus and concentration that it almost pushes you into putting absolutely everything into it.
Yeah,
and
you have to, really, don't you? You can't. There's no short way around it.
I think one of my final questions has got to be: are you faster than him yet on your lap times? What's going on? Like, it's happened, does it?
Have you been on track together?
Yeah.
Well, Dad will talk it down. He was actually quite fast when he was racing. So
look at him, he's quite
so
fast.
there was a period. It was the Twins, really, wasn't it? We had these 650s, right? So I'd done the KTM and then 2 years on a 650, and on the second year we kept saying, it's like, You've got 3 of them. Like, you know, put a heavier shock in one of them. Let's go and have a go, you know.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season, we did, and obviously I was there.
There's
like,
you ringing the old crew going,
Yeah.
we're going for a track day.
Yeah,
Don't
I
tell
was
the
like-
boy.
Yeah. I wish I'd have done that, Dom. I wish I'd have done that.
Telemetry, everything like that.
Yeah.
I was obviously going for it.
He just rinsed me.
I mean, it's probably a bit unfair because you were a lot heavier and it's a twin. You know, it's not got that much.
I bet you were up at the tyre place, like trying to secretly get super soft tyres.
Yeah. It was great. It was a good time. It was I really like these little bikes. I just wanted to try one, and we spent a couple of years developing them, and they were great. And then I said to him, "You bugger off on the first session. I'm going to go and have a wobble round." You know, so he did. And then like second or third session, he just turned up like I think we were coming underneath. Out of Old Hairpin at Donny and just round
fast left.
the left, and then back.
Oh, Lauren John just opened that. I think someone's at the door.
Is that someone at the door?
Sounds like it.
There we go. Someone's winding us up, one or the other.
The fans have turned up.
Did you say?
Yeah, I heard it.
Someone was
It
definitely.
wasn't coming from there. I think it was coming from the right.
Oh,
The
it
bird
must
or
be.
something,
Yeah, it
like?
must be birds.
Maybe a bird, right?
Anyway,
That'll be my editing skills
Yeah.
coming in there anyway.
he just rode off and rinsed me, and I was grinning in my helmet, but I couldn't bloody catch him. That's for sure.
That's
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
And you've had a similar thing at the TT, haven't you? He did a lap of the TT with his dad. Imagine that.
Really?
Oh, did you?
Oh God,
the full TT.
It's on YouTube. Yeah,
With
the
your dad?
class together.
Oh no, we did it on the lightweight, but I tell you what, the one lap I'll never forget in my life was you know that bike he was on the first year
Yeah.
he got it. Alan Charmley, if you are listening to this, big shout out. He spent more money on the paint job of this bike than
Yeah.
standard shocks, standard brake lights. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm waving everyone by. My mother's standing there going, I know exactly what this little... She doesn't swear. My mother's an angel, but
Yeah.
in her eyes she was swearing.
Yeah.
Going, I know what he's doing. So
Yeah.
my dad's coming further and further on Glen Country Road and I'm waving everyone by.
Yeah.
So there's me on this Suzuki Slavy and my dad's on the 750. Honestly, it was like a MotoGP start. It was just, I revved, he went a little louder, I went a little louder, then he went a little louder, and we just dropped the clutch. And there's one line down Bray Hill, and we found 2. We went side by side all the way down, straight over. And I tell you what, I've never seen someone late brake like it in my life. Quarter bridge. Now, when you hit quarter bridge on a superbike, you just back one, load it up, back on the throttle, and jump. My dad did not shut. Literally straight up. Back wheel in the air, coming down, lock. I'm going, he's going through the pub here. He stopped, got it turned, fired, looked over the shoulder, went, that's how you do it, my boy, and then drove off. And I chased it. I chased him the entire lap. And I'm going, this is just surreal. And it went from this father-son moment to going, now you're pissing me off here. So I need to try and do you. And Wren Cullen, do you know where Wren Cullen is? It's on the far side. You go through Kurt Michael, it's a 30 mile an hour, and you've got Wren Cullen to jump. But then after that, it's a blind right turn that compresses through Bishop's Court. And I mean, on a big bike, you've just got to commit. You've just got to shut your eyes, hold the breath, and hold the line through. There was 3 R6 newcomers on R6s. We're on classic superbikes. I went on the outside. My dad was on the inside, and there's like
Sandwich.
literally all 3 of the newcomers came in. Went, that was just surreal, and me and him were just not backing off at all. And it was just the most
Sounds like
incredible
a family death race.
Oh, honestly, it was. I tell you what, my standout moment from the father-son thing was like I first went to the Isle of Man. I think my first ever lap. Now you do your newcomers lap, and you're in tow, and you think that's your first lap. It's bollocks. That is not your first lap. When you're out with all the other psychopaths going over the mountain, I remember coming over and the sun was setting and it was coming in dark, and I'm thinking this is what it's like to be on the Isle of Man. And I came home. It was the best lap of my life. No one could tell me otherwise. But the worst thing about the Isle of Man, and it's like any short circuit, you can go for your lap, can't you, and think, no one's faster than me.
Yeah.
What happens?
Someone's
the
always
timesheet.
faster.
No, you do, don't you? You look at the
Yeah,
timesheets.
yeah.
We've all done it.
You can't comprehend how
Yeah.
anyone's gone faster.
Well,
than that.
that's it. But then you look at that and go, how was that slow? And you're going in. I remember my dad. I bought a caravan with my mum and dad for 300 quid. My mum could make a full Sunday lunch in this thing, and it was crap. It was fantastically crap. You know what I mean? And we all gathered around this little picnic table, and I had this sheet in my hand, right? And they double side the sheets, so fast lads on the front, shite lads on the back. And this is in the Super Twins, and I'm going, oh my God, what how am I going to tell me dad? I'll shit myself. My dad's never gone, you got to do this, never a motor.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
always left me to it. He
Yeah.
doesn't come watch me race or anything, just leaves me to it. And I'm still thinking, how am I going to tell my dad this lap speed? So I'm coming in, I kind of hit it like a bad child, you know what I mean? I'm like, bear in mind, like I first got a bike at 21, I was 23 at this point, I'm still shit scared of my dad. I'm like, I'm going, oh, how am I going to tell him? How am I going to tell him? So anyway, he comes in, straight through the awning, like stars in your eyes. Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be a shit dad. Straight in. And he just went, right, let's have a look. Got the paper, looked at the front side, immediately turned it over. And he looked me square in the eyes and just went and laughed and just went, you'll never make it as a TT rider. And that for me was a light switch. Not an abuse, not like, you know what I mean? It was like stuff. He was laughing and giggling, you know what I mean? It was just like, he knew why we were both there to enjoy it and stuff like that. And I just went, you know what? But this, like the Manx, I did the Manx once and I just went, nah, this is happening. And his fastest lap speed was 121 mile an hour. And he's old school. I mean, he's so old school. It hurts. He bought an R1, never did a track day, nothing. First time he rode 1000cc was down Bray Hill.
Wow.
He rode G50s and 7Rs. You're talking 50 brake horsepower. And he went,
wow, that's quite something actually.
That's it. To go down Bray Hill, and his fastest lap speed came to a 121.
Yeah.
And you know that turn of the tide when you come in and you're just like, do you want to have a look at this sheet, Father? It's on the front side. Do you want to have a look at that? So that for me was my favourite moment. And
yeah, well, I'm on the other end of that. Like I said, I just got a whooping.
Yeah.
It's classic.
I've got a fantastic picture though. There's we bought two RC 390s. I thought instead of buying loads of spares, I'll just get two because he's going to bloody crash it soon anyway. So that's the way it goes. And you just started, and we went to Mallory.
I think it was my ACU.
Yeah, and we did a track day, and I was on one of them, and he was on one of them. There's the photographer there got us going around what's a big right hand Gerard's. And it was literally like father and duckling, like, and it's just
because obviously Dad looked massive on it. Yeah, it's only a little 390.
It's a beautiful picture. It's one of the I can visualize it in my mind. And now he's out there, and I'm going to chuck him in at stock 6. And just want to mention Nick Morgan. We're obviously doing this thing with MSS. Love Nick. We kind of got in touch with each other, realised we were doing Dad and Lad stuff, and then went, let's do it together. And I'm really looking forward to it. He's a great guy. Max, his son's a great guy. We're going to stay out of trouble. We're going to smile a lot more than most people do down in the British paddocks. And we're just going to go out. Yeah, and we're just going to try and really, really enjoy it. And whatever happens on track in terms of where the lads finish, who cares? And we'll try and help them along the way, the best way we know how. And we're just going to go and give it a go. But I think my message to anyone listening that's involved in racing is you got to enjoy it. You've got to keep going down a class and getting less serious to get back to enjoying it if you're not enjoying it now. Because there's too much money involved in it. There is no magic ladder to anywhere spectacular. It is about riding motorcycles and racing motorcycles, and all racing motorcycle people are great. All people involved in motorcycle racing are great.
I'm questionable, but I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, they're great. So, but just don't get carried away with it. It doesn't take you anywhere spectacular. If you're enjoying it and you're on your way out, great. But as soon as you stop enjoying yourself, don't mean to say you got to bow out. Just go back to a place that you can afford that gets you smiling again. Keep racing motorcycles.
Brilliant bit of advice.
Now, there's one thing that I seen on your Facebook not long ago, which I wanted to ask about. You not long ago, you had a post on about something about changing your life for the better recently.
Yeah.
Is that a long-winded story, or is that?
No, I got into music festivals, and in quite a big way. And what a timing, with COVID. And we were just about to. We did 3 festivals, three-day festivals in 2019, and we were just about to do a big festival for 2020, and then the pandemic turned up and that kiboshed that, and then we tried to reschedule an even bigger one for this year, and we've pulled that as well. So I just decided to get out of that because it was not going anywhere under the current the way things are right now, and I was spending a lot of energy on it, and it's kind of that really. And there's a lot of work to be done at home, and I'm working on a lot of kind of building works on some land we got, and I'm just
A man that never stops.
and I'm going racing with my son, and I wanted to spend a bit of time with my daughter, who's fantastic. She's 17, just kind of learning how to drive and doing all those things in life, and yeah, it was about that.
Oh, spot on. Now we've got just one question on the on our patrons page from Mike Orton. He asked a few questions, but the pick of the questions is who has been the best at getting the best out of the riders in terms of like people that you've like team managers or whatever that you've employed. Who's been the best at extracting the best out of your riders?
So, really a good guy.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah, a few good guys. So I can mention a few guys. They've all been great. Hi Terry White, Licorice, by the way.
Licorice.
Yeah, liquors. And so everyone would know Spanner, Chris, who works with Tara McKenzie right now. He's a good guy. Darren Jones, who works for Hickey now, runs the FHO outfit. Really good guy. They're both very good at getting good stuff out of riders. I remember there's an electronics engineer we hired for a good few years called Andrea Torniero. Worked for us at BSB. Really good guy. Pete Clifford, really good guy. But what I like to think about GB Moto in whatever guys is that we try to work on getting good stuff out of riders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the crew chief's job. I believe it's all of our jobs.
Full atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know when you're in a good place. You know when you're in a good team.
Yeah.
And it really does.
Happy
improve.
lads are fast lads.
Yeah.
You can never get away
It
from
really
that
improves
overall.
your performance as well.
And another thing, final thing from me, and this is to both of you. I want your top three in the BSB Championship this year. Predictions.
Oh,
Who are you fancy?
Yes, come on.
fuck.
Go on, Max.
God,
Straight off the bat. Go on, Max. Come on.
Oh God, I think O'Halloran looks really good in testing.
He's definitely
I
been the
think he
best.
always does look quite good in testing, but you know he did have a really strong season last. I feel
2
like
years injury free. He's feeling confident.
exactly.
Yeah,
I feel like it's maybe his time. You know, it's going to come together. So I'm going to say O'Halloran. I think Brooksy's still going to be really hard to beat. So I'm going to say Brooksy second. And third, I think it could be someone like no one really expects because there's a few of the young guys recently that are looking really fast. I mean, like Kyle Ryde's been looking good. So someone like that, you know.
He's actually turning from that outside bet to going. Actually,
Yeah, like
you know
actually,
what I mean?
like
He's just, here we go.
Yeah,
He's-
not that far out. So yeah, that'd be a bit of an odd top three. But yeah, that's mine.
Either you've got gas or you're really thinking hard here.
I I'll wait till I leave the trailer. I think top three. I think O'Halloran. I think Iden. And the third one, I just can't say. It could be one of anyone.
See, that's the sign of a good championship, that isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was top three last year, wasn't it? Brooks, Iden, and O'Halloran.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a feeling, for no good reason, because I really rate him and respect him. I've got a feeling it kind of might just be a bit too late for Brooksy. Having said that, I hope you make a mockery of what I just said. But I just think O'Halloran, Iden. I loved the way Christian was putting it about last year. He looked like he's
Head to state.
got a grip of it. I do know that the new BMW is good. The new one is good,
Right.
very good, and I think that will make a good bike. But I don't know if there's, I don't know how that's going to pan out in terms of championship. What I do like, I would just like to say by finishing that is, I'm loving some of the new young superbike riders coming through. I'm loving Rory Skinner. I'm loving. You should be on one. You should be on one.
I appreciate that.
Well, no, that
And there's a lot of young lads out there right now that it's their time.
Vickers is coming really good.
Yeah, Vickers is good. It's their time. What we need to do more in this, I believe, in this championship, the British Superbike Championship, is do what we did with Jake Dixon. Give them a platform, give them a team, and then send them on their way.
Yeah.
Honestly, my own view is like, it's great people hanging around for 10 years, but is it? It's not.
It's good for our community, but not for the nation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
It's mad, when you think of the average age in like the top 10 in MotoGP, the average age is like something
7.
like 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you think of, if you took the average age of the top, say, 10 in BSB, you know, how is Brooksy getting on for?
I
think
got no
Brooksy's the
idea.
oldest out of the
Yeah, I
things,
think
but
he is.
you know, he won last year. He's the marker at the moment, and but yeah, I agree. It's great to see younger riders coming through, and I guess you're looking at the support classes, looking for who's coming through and who's next, and you know.
Daft, quick question, right? If you're going to start a team, what bike and 2 riders? Go. Don't think too long. Just go. Come on.
Off of what you said, I'm going to say BMW.
Right?
And is it riders from BSB?
No, actually, I'm going to open up the book.
Oh, what? So I can just have a MotoGP rider?
Nah, box that. Let's go BSB. Let's go BSB.
I would have Rory Skinner.
Right?
I think he's quality, and I'd have Chrissy on it as well.
Oh, you kiss us.
No,
Nice
I would.
answer.
I think he should come up as well. I agree.
I think
I'd have Rory Skinner and Chris Rouse.
They are straight off the
Just
bat.
copy me, really.
They are on the BM as well.
Yeah.
There we are. Sorted. Right. So if any
Simple as
sponsors
that.
would like to join on,
BMW,
we're going to start a new team here. They are fantastic.
I've just hacked off a few people. I know that.
Oh no, it's all good fun. But honestly, like I'm trying to. Anything else?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, do you want to give a quick shout out to your social medias?
Yeah, mine is just Max Smith-Halvorsen, unfortunately my really long name, on my Instagram, and same as Facebook. So yeah, that's me. I'd appreciate anything.
Do you have like obviously you've got the race bike stuff, but is there a team?
No, not really.
We have GB Moto, don't we?
Yeah, stick it all in MSS Performance's way. They're a great company. Nick's a great guy. He's been in racing like me for donkey's years. And one of the things I know we do pretty well is just kind of make sure that we get them out there this year. And so yeah, MSS Performance all the way.
Fantastic.
Well, I tell you, I've really, I always say this on the podcast, but
that's because you're getting a superbike ride. That's why.
I've thoroughly enjoyed, having a bit chat. I know you were nervous about coming on, but like you can't tell you're nervous at all. It's funny. Do you know, like, have you ever done anything in front of like a live audience, like a speaker in front? Yeah, and like it's, you know, if there's like thousands of faces watching you, it's quite daunting. Where in here, it's like a little TARDIS, so you just get like in a box, and you just forget the cameras are there. But
but now we can put them on the spot. We have over 80,000 people download this each month, so they are. I put you on the spot, so there we go.
Is that right?
Might have to have
honestly, each month, 80,000.
We're gonna have to have a little check.
What's
over
crazy
before it goes out.
No, you're not a chance.
What's crazy as well is on the podcast charts it tells you like how you're doing in the country. So if you go to chartable.com and you type in Jason the
I've
Race,
seen it on your stories and stuff.
Yeah, and like there's countries like would do really well in China, Romania, like Bulgaria, South Africa, and you just think
hopefully not France.
Not anymore.
We are actually in the charts in France, but you think like
it's Dom. He's their equivalent. He's our equivalent of Borat. They love him.
Very nice.
But on that, huge thank you to our sponsors, Colchester Kawasaki, all of our patrons, and look forward to following your progress this year, lads. And catch
Thank
up.
you so much.
Good luck this weekend.
I was about to say good luck, and the weather's there, so there we go. But I tell you what, sorry, this is a selfish note. I must say thank you so much to Tony and the staff there for sorting out my dad to get them on that track day, swapping my spot, and all the great work. But all seriousness, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been absolutely mint crack, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. See you in a bit.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasing the Racing.